There comes a moment in your life when you sit in the quiet of your room, maybe on the edge of your bed or curled up with a blanket, and you realize you're not actually tired, you're emotionally heavy. You look at everything around you, the clothes you meant to fold, the notebook you meant to open, the dreams you meant to chase, and they all feel far away, like someone placed a glass wall between you and the world. You're not upset, not hopeless, not dramatic, just stuck in a fog you can't explain. And you whisper to yourself the word you've been afraid to say. Why am I so lazy? But if you paused for a moment and listened closely to that whisper, you'd hear the truth hidden underneath it, because laziness has never been your story, not really. And honestly, if you're still here, you're already trying, so prove your brain wrong for once and hit subscribe real quick. Tiny step, big energy. Laziness is the lie you tell yourself when you haven't learned the language of your mind yet. Laziness is the label you use when you don't have tools to explain your overwhelm. Laziness is the shadow that appears when your brain is trying to protect you from something it hasn't processed. Laziness is the word society gave you when it couldn't see the weight you were carrying. Laziness is the mask that hides exhaustion, fear, and silent battles no one else can see. And if you could press pause on the chaos for a second and just breathe, you would notice that your avoidance isn't coming from a place of not caring. It's coming from caring too much. It's coming from fear, perfectionism, pressure, exhaustion, confusion, and years of being told that your worth depended on your productivity. You sit there thinking you're weak, but what you really are is full of thoughts you never sorted, feelings you never said out loud, expectations you didn't choose, and memories that shaped you in ways you didn't notice. Full of moments when you tried and weren't seen, when you spoke and weren't heard, when you gave and it wasn't enough. Full of all the times you pushed yourself until you broke, and then blamed yourself for breaking. No one ever taught you that your brain is built to avoid discomfort, and not just the painful kind, any kind. So when something feels unclear, when a task feels too big, when you're scared to fail, when your heart is carrying too much, your brain whispers, not now, not yet, maybe later. Not because you're lazy, but because your mind is trying to keep you safe. Your brain still believes effort equals danger, because somewhere in your past effort once came with criticism, pressure, comparison, or disappointment. Maybe it was a parent who frowned when you brought home a B instead of an A. Maybe it was a teacher who called you careless. Maybe it was a friend who made fun of your passion. Maybe it was just the quiet realization that no matter how hard you tried, it never felt like enough. And so now, years later, when you try to begin something as simple as cleaning your room or opening your laptop, your body freezes like you're stepping into a cold lake. Your hands feel heavy, your chest tightens, your mind goes blank. You call that laziness. But biologically, emotionally, psychologically, it's protection. It's your nervous system saying, "Remember what happened last time? Let's not risk it again." It's your heart saying, "I'm too tired to be disappointed again." It's your soul saying, "I need rest, not another test." You're not procrastinating the task, you're procrastinating the feeling attached to the task. You're not avoiding work, you're avoiding the fear of not being good enough, the fear of starting wrong, the fear of being judged, the fear of failing again, the fear of discovering you're not who you hoped you'd be. That's why you scroll your phone. That's why you disappear into videos. That's why you do the tiny, easy things instead of the important ones. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain chooses the safest option available. And when life feels overwhelming, safety doesn't look like progress, it looks like escape. It looks like distraction. It looks like anything that doesn't require you to face the weight you've been carrying. Imagine someone sitting at their desk, staring at an assignment they haven't started. Their chest tightens, their throat tightens. They feel that quiet wave of, "I can't do this," even though they haven't even tried. But if you entered their mind in that moment, you'd see they're not thinking about the assignment, they're thinking about disappointing their parents, about the teacher who embarrassed them in class last year, about the time they studied for hours and still didn't get the grade they wanted. They're thinking about all the times they tried and it wasn't enough, all the times they worked hard and still felt invisible, all the times they gave everything and heard nothing but silence in return. The task triggers a memory, the memory triggers fear, and the fear triggers avoidance. It's not about the assignment at all, it's about everything the assignment represents. It's about proving yourself again. It's about risking failure again. It's about opening yourself up to judgment again. And their brain, wise and protective, says, "No, not today. We've been hurt enough." Now imagine another person who wants to start journaling or working out or following their passions, but every time they try, a voice inside whispers, "What if you stop again? What if you fail again? What if you embarrass yourself? What if people notice you're trying and expect more from you?" That voice isn't laziness either, it's self-protection disguised as apathy. It's the part of them that remembers every time they started something with hope and watched it crumble. It's the part that's scared to want things because wanting hurts when you don't get them. It's the part that would rather not try than try and be disappointed again. That's why you need to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are simply fighting battles inside your mind that no one ever prepared you for. You are navigating a world that taught you to be productive but never taught you to be human. You are carrying wounds that look invisible but feel unbearably heavy. And the way out isn't by forcing yourself or yelling at yourself or pretending to be stronger. The way out is learning how your brain works. The way out is compassion. The way out is clarity. The way out is choosing one small step instead of demanding a perfect performance. Because your brain doesn't hate effort, it hates uncertainty. Your brain doesn't fear work, it fears the unknown outcome of that work. Your brain doesn't want you to stay stuck, it just doesn't know how to move forward safely. If you make a task small enough, safe enough, gentle enough, your brain will let you begin. Clean your room becomes pick up that shirt. Do your homework becomes write one sentence. Change your life becomes drink a glass of water. Start a business becomes research one idea. Get healthy becomes stretch for 2 minutes. And when you take that tiny step, something shifts inside you, a spark, a click, a softness. Your brain realizes, oh, that wasn't dangerous. And suddenly you have momentum. Not the explosive kind you see in movies, but the quiet kind that actually lasts. The kind that whispers, maybe I can do this after all. The kind that builds, slowly and steadily, into something real. Momentum is the opposite of laziness. The person who once avoided everything starts feeling capable again. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, softly. They begin choosing tasks not because they're easy, but because they believe they can handle them. They begin showing up for themselves not because they suddenly have motivation, but because they no longer see themselves as the enemy. They realize that discipline isn't punishing yourself, it's caring for yourself enough to begin. They realize that progress doesn't come from big dramatic changes, it comes from tiny promises you keep to yourself. They realize that starting is not a sign of strength, but a sign of safety. And when your brain feels safe, effort becomes possible again. Maybe you wake up one day and actually make your bed. Not perfectly, but gently. Maybe you finally open that notebook and write 2 lines. Maybe you fold 1 stack of clothes. Maybe you drink water first thing in the morning. Maybe you go for a 5-minute walk. Maybe you forgive yourself for all the days you didn't try. Maybe you look at yourself in the mirror and for the first time whisper, I wasn't lazy, I was hurting. Maybe you realize that every time you called yourself lazy, you were really just someone who needed understanding, not judgment. And that is where everything begins to change. Not with productivity tips, not with motivation hacks, but with understanding. Understanding that laziness is rarely a personality, it is a symptom. Understanding that your mind avoids what it fears. Understanding that you carry more emotional load than you admit. Understanding that softness, not pressure, rewires the brain. Understanding that your future self grows when your present self feels safe. Understanding that healing doesn't happen through force, but through patience, through gentleness, through the quiet courage of trying again. And slowly, beautifully, gently, the person who once believed they were lazy begins to bloom into someone new. Someone who starts things without fear, who finishes things without panic, who forgives themselves without hesitation, who tries again without shame. They become someone who sees effort not as a threat, but as a pathway. Someone who wakes up with a little more lightness in their chest. Someone who moves through the world with quiet confidence. Someone who is not perfect but present. Someone who is not lazy but healing. Someone who finally understands that they were never the problem, they just needed a different kind of beginning. And that beginning starts now, with one soft breath, one tiny step, one gentle promise, one moment of truth. You are not lazy, you are becoming. And if you're ready to take one tiny step to prove you're not lazy anymore, let it be this one: click subscribe now and show yourself you can begin.